vehicle, incorporating some delivery into it as well. If you do have any questions, please jot it down or make a mental note. I'll be happy to address everything at the end if there was something you didn't quite understand. Okay, fair enough? All right, let's talk about the front of the vehicle for just a moment, something I want to address right away because you're going to get questions from customers, and that is the headlights. Headlights usually aren't that complicated until now. Here's why. What do these look like right here? LEDs. Do they come on? No, they do not. These lights do not come on at all. These lights are not going to come on any 2013 RAV4 in North America. If you want them to come on, buy it in Europe because that's where they're going to come on. The computer on this vehicle is not programmed to have these lights come on. The daytime running lights are actually located within the headlamp assembly. Your high beams are here and your turn signal is down there. But that will not be coming on. Underneath the hood of the vehicle, we all know by now there's no more V6 in your RAV. You get one engine and one engine only. That's the 2.5 liter four-cylinder, the same one that we had last year that makes 176 horsepower, 172 pound-feet of torque. But now we're made into a 6-speed automatic transmission and not a 4-speed automatic transmission. That's going to do two things for you. First of all, it increases your gas mileage. Gas mileage goes up to 22 city, 29 highway for the all-wheel drive model. And the second thing it does is increase performance. 0 to 60 time on this vehicle goes down by nearly 2 seconds when compared to last year's four-cylinder. So, if you're a customer that might be twisted that there's no V6 in the vehicle, make them drive it because they're going to be pleasantly surprised about how peppy this thing really is. And you have the sport motor enhancement, which I'll talk about later on. Of course, our safety system is standard on this vehicle, and that includes your analog brakes, electronic brake force distribution, brake assist, traction control, smart start technology, and enhanced vehicle stability control. Vehicle stability control is enhanced two ways on this car. First of all, with the power steering, with the electric power steering system. What that does is, if the VSC goes off, you're only going to get power steering assist to turn into a skid and not out of a skid to help regain control of the car quicker. And the second way it's enhanced is with the all-wheel drive system. Imagine this scenario. You're driving straight, you turn the wheel to the right, vehicle continues to go straight. That's going to set the VSC off in any car. In the case of this vehicle, same scenario. Driving straight, turn the wheel to the right, vehicle continues to go straight. VSC will go off. Individual wheels will be braked harshly to help pivot the vehicle back on track, and the all-wheel drive system will send power to the rear wheels in that scenario. Because if you imagine trying to go around that curve, that rear end push is going to help you regain control of the car quicker. That's where that dynamic system comes into play. And speaking of the all-wheel drive system, it is new for 2013, now called dynamic torque control. Last year it was active torque control. Kind of the same thing, but we have tweaked it a little bit to make it more dynamic. If you weren't aware of how the torque control system operates, here's a brief rundown. On most days, when I drive this RAV, especially if it's a dry out, I'll default to front wheel drive. I'll have 100% of the power here, no power going to the rear wheels. In certain conditions, up to 50% of the power can be sent to the rear wheels. Now, what are those certain conditions? First of all, slippery conditions. Front wheel slippage, 50% of the power, or up to 50% of the power to the rear wheels. Condition number 2, hard acceleration. I'm at a stoplight, light turns green, I put my foot to the floor, up to 50% of the power can be sent to the rear wheels. Why? In anticipation of a loss of traction. And the last scenario is hard cornering. I whip this thing to a corner real quick, up to 50% of the power can be sent to the rear wheels because an all-wheel drive car handles better than a two-wheel drive car, even on dry pavement. Now I've said a couple of times, up to 50%, because that's the other beautiful thing about the system, is it doesn't just switch on and off like a switch, like, all right, I got 100% here and 0 here, and then I get 50-50. No. It can vary the amount of power going to the rear wheels. So in certain instances, you could have 90% here, 10% there, 80-20, 70-30, so forth and so on for a maximum of 50-50. So the bottom line is, you're going to get the optimum amount of four-wheel drive out of this car in any given situation without you having to do anything. That sounds pretty safe. You can still lock it into four-wheel drive, hit the button on the dashboard, and you'll get the 50-50 split, and that will work up to 25 miles an hour. Once you hit 26, then it's going to go back into the automatic mode. All right? Working around the car here, you'll notice your fog lights are down here. Those are going to be standard on your XLEs and Limiteds. Going to the passenger side, the first thing I notice is soft touch material on the dashboard right here with stitching. That is standard on XLEs and Limiteds. LEs have standard cloth seats. XLEs have deluxe cloth with the stitching and enhanced bolsters or sport seats. So bigger bolsters here and down here on the seat cushion. And your Limited has standard soft tech seats. We now have 8 airbags in the 13 RAV, with airbag number 8 being a passenger seat cushion airbag. Now, how does that work? If I'm sitting here as a passenger in the car, and there's a front end collision, this airbag is going to deploy if I have my seatbelt on. And when it does deploy, it doesn't come out of the seat, but it takes the seat cushion and pushes it out and up, which will take my knees and push them up like this. And if my knees go up like this, it's going to help hold me in the seat so I don't come sliding forward. Because if I do slide forward, I will hit the dashboard. So the passenger seat cushion airbag keeps the passenger in place in the event of a front-end collision. Airbag number 7 is located on the driver's side knee area. More airbags than any other compact SUV on the market. And that passenger seat cushion airbag is the same one you'll find in a Yaris, a Prius C, and a Scion IQ. Wheel differences. LEs have 17-inch steel wheels with wheel covers. XLEs have 17-inch alloy wheels, and Limiteds have 18-inch alloy wheels. Side view mirrors over here. Your customer may ask you, why are there bumps on the top of the side view mirrors? They're actually there to decrease wind noise. Toyota put a lot of effort into decreasing sound coming into the cabin, and this is one of the ways. As the wind whips around the side view mirrors, these attempt to reduce that wind noise. They, of course, fold back and forth in either direction, and the XLEs and Limiteds have standard heated side view mirrors when you turn on the rear defogger, as well as this integrated turn signal. You've got a vortex generator here. One right here and 2 on the sides of the rear tail lamps. These are also known as aero stabilizing fins. Now, what do they really do? They make the vehicle more stable at highway speeds. When you drive a car, particularly at a high rate of speed, that car punches a hole in the air goes around the vehicle. And what this does is creates a swirl or a vortex of air, like this. And that swirl of air runs down the side of the vehicle to where the 2 vortex generators are on the side of the tail lamps. And the faster the car goes, the tighter the swirl of air gets on the vehicle. The tighter the swirl of air, the more stable it is at higher speeds. Drive this on the thruway at 80 miles an hour on a windy day, and you'll feel what a vortex generator really does. As I mentioned before, very quiet cabin in the 13 RAV, especially compared to last year. Not only did we increase sound deadening material in the vehicle, we also added an acoustic windshield. Acoustic windshield is something you find on an Avalon or many Lexus models, and that is 2 panes of glass put together with a piece of plastic in between to help kill the sound. You'll notice it when you drive it, but you can also show it to your customer by merely banging on the windshield. If I bang on this windshield, it sounds somewhat muffled, especially when you compare it to another window. This is a little more muffled, this sounds a little more metallic. Don't be afraid to bang on the window or the windshield when you're showing your 13 RAV. Back of the vehicle, a lot to talk about back here. Most notably, there's no more spare tire on the back door. We still give you a spare tire. It's a temporary spare located underneath the cargo area, right down here. This is storage for your tonneau cover if the vehicle has one. Jack and tools are located right here on the side. And your cargo area is the largest in the segment. We have more cargo space in the RAV than any other compact SUV. There's about 38 cubic feet behind the second row seats and about 73 when you put the back seats down. The Limited has a standard power hatch. There's some unique things about this power hatch I want to go over. First of all, everything else we have in the power hatch, like a Venza or a Highlander, that hatch is operated with a box that sits right about here and an arm that comes up and attaches itself to the hatch. Well, that takes up space. It also reduces the size of the opening. So we've incorporated the power feature into the hydraulics. What does that mean for you? Well, the only way to operate this or open and close this hatch is by using the power function. You can't manually open or close it. If you try, like I'm going to try to yank on it, the power function takes over. And if you continue to push on it, you're going to look silly because you're going to be fighting with the power feature. Same thing when you open it. If I go to unlock this, the power function takes over. And if you try to do it yourself, you're going to look silly. So, on the limited, don't fight with the hatch. You can only manually open and close the LE and the XLE. We also have jam protection. This comes down, I can put my hand anywhere here, and it's going to recognize it and pop right back up again. There's actually a rubber piece that starts here, runs all the way down to there. So any objects or body parts stuck on the side of the hatch, it's going to recognize and pop back up again. And the last thing is the height adjustment feature on this hatch. There are some customers you have that can't or don't want to reach up to close the hatch, either with the button or by yanking down on the handle. So you can program this hatch to stop at any height you want it to. Here's how you do it. Hit the button to bring it down, hit it again wherever you want it to stop. Let's say I want it to stop there every time I open up this hatch. Now hold down the button until you hear 4 beeps. Now I've programmed it to stop here every time. And if you don't believe me, I'll prove it to you. Ta-da! Every time I open up this hatch, it's going to stop right there. Well, how do you make it go back? Hold down the button, wait for the 4 beeps, keep holding the button, and wait for 2 additional beeps. There's your 4, now wait for the 2. And that's it. Now, when I open the hatch, it's going to go all the way back up to its original spot. Just like magic. Ta-da, he said. Privacy glass is standard on every single RAV4, every model. You buy some competitors out there, and the base model has clear glass back here, so everyone can see who's riding in the back and what you have in the cargo area. You may also have noticed that I did not show you how to fold down the rear seats from the back of the vehicle, because you can't do that anymore. The only way to fold down the rear seats is to approach the side of the vehicle, put the headrest down, pull up on the lever, down goes the seat. They also do not slide back and forth anymore. There's no more third row option in this vehicle, so there's really no need to increase or decrease legroom in the third row. So the seats are stationary, but they still recline. I get in, I pull up on the lever, I recline the seat, and then back up again. There's also a lot of leg and knee room back here. I can move my feet back and forth underneath the seat. I've got a flat rear floor, and I have a lot of knee room as well. Let me show you what a recessed door sill is. If you drove here today, chances are your car's filthy. Most namely your door sill. And the door sill is the piece that is usually exposed, and it's underneath the doors on the car. Well, a vehicle with a recessed door sill like this, the doors go all the way down to the bottom of the car. So the door sill, this piece, is protected. So no matter how dirty your car gets, that stays clean. Why should I care if it's clean? Well, when I get in and out of the car, if it's a filthy door sill, I've now got salt and dirt on my pants. That's not going to happen with this car. It's also something you can point out in a Venza and a Highlander too, because it has the very same thing. Audio system. Every RAV4 has the 6.1-inch display stereo, display audio. N-Tune with navigation is optional on XLEs and optional on Limiteds. So what does that mean for satellite radio? The only way to get satellite radio in your 13 RAV is to get an N-Tune equipped XLE or a Limited, because the display audio stereo does not accept the XM accessory. We do give you a standard backup camera. Every single RAV4 gets a standard backup camera, every trim level. There's competitors out there where you need to buy an expensive option package or a higher trim level just to get a backup camera. Below that is your dual zone climate control. standard on XLEs and Limiteds. This button right here is a pollen filter button. You already have a cabin air filter in the vehicle, but this is the added filtration if you wanted it. It pulls out the pollen and dust from the air. Below that are your heated seat buttons, standard on the Limited, and your Eco and Sport modes, which are on every trim level of RAV. Eco mode is perfect for a customer who wants to maximize their gas mileage, but does a lot of city driving. What it does is it makes the accelerator pedal a little less sensitive, and also is going to upshift the transmission sooner so the RPMs don't go quite as high. Sport mode does the exact opposite. Sport mode actually holds the gears longer, makes the steering wheel a little harder to turn, and more precise, so you turn the steering wheel a little less to do the same thing. And it enhances your all-wheel drive system. I've said before, all-wheel drive cars handle better than two-wheel drive cars, even on dry pavement. So, in sport mode, every time I turn the wheel at all, I will get a minimum of 10% of the power going to the rear wheels. So not only is the performance enhanced when you put it in sport mode, but the handling of the vehicle is enhanced in sport mode. Let's talk about wipers for just a second. Front wipers work the same way. The rear wiper works the same way, like the end of the stalk right here. But in order to work the rear windshield, or excuse me, the rear washer, take the stalk and push it forward like that. That's going to operate your rear washer. It is different than any other Toyota with the rear washer. Automatic headlights are standard on the Limited. To the left of the steering wheel, you'll find your four-wheel drive lock button as well as your power hatch button, which is only on the Limited. The power hatch off button is in the glove box. Audio controls on the left side of the steering wheel. Bluetooth controls are on the right. Voice command button is only on an Entune equipped car. And the display button below that operates the trip computer, which is at the base of the speedometer, where you can then toggle through trip odometer A, B, instant fuel economy, average fuel economy, distance to empty, and average speed. Power driver seat is standard on the Limited. Only way to get a power driver seat is to be unlimited, and we've incorporated the memory function for 2013. If you've never set a memory seat before, it is very simple. All you do is put the seat in whatever position you want it in, hold down the set button, then hold down number 1, and now you've set the memory seat to that position. Very, very simple. Blind spot monitor, optional on the Limited. How that works is you have two lights, one on each side view mirror. If I turn it on, that's what the light looks like. Now what's going to happen is if there's a vehicle in your blind spot, which is rear quarter panel and back, one lane over, that light's going to come on. If I turn on my turn signal to indicate I want to switch lanes, then that light is going to blink to say, hey, you probably shouldn't switch lanes. We also have rear cross traffic alert with this system. How that works is, put the vehicle in reverse. As soon as you do that, the system is going to detect any vehicle coming in either direction within 55 feet of either direction, traveling over 5 miles an hour. If there is somebody coming, both lights will come on for the blind spot monitor, and it will beep inside the car, letting you know you should probably hit your brakes. It's the same system that's available in the 13 Avalon and 13 Camry. Last thing I want to talk about is Smart Key. Just when you thought you knew everything about Smart Key. Smart Key is standard on the Limited. We all know keys in the proximity of the vehicle, approach the vehicle, touch the driver's door unlocks, you can then lock it with the button inside, the door handle, or the key fob. But some customers want all the doors to open up when they approach the driver's door. You can do that, and here's what you do. Take the key fob, hold down lock and unlock at the same time. Now, when I approach the driver's door, touch the driver's door handle, all the doors unlock. To make it go back, do the same thing over again. I approach the vehicle, touch the driver's door handle, and only the driver's door unlocks. That will work on any vehicle with Smart Key, not just the 13 RAV. Are there any questions on anything that I went over or that Mike went over?
You just said you could do that at any 13 with Smart Key?
Any, I verified in 09 last week. So the only thing I'm not sure about is the Prius was our first car with smart key. Like an '04 Prius, I don't know. Like I said, I did an '09 last week.